Now, we are all guilty of looking for that shiny new toy when it comes to tech. But how do we know what we actually need and the problems it will fix that are relevant to our own businesses? Well, let's get a little bit nerdy here and take a look at tech trends you need in 2023. Welcome to the Property Management Podcast, my friends. The new year is in full swing, and I want to let you know I have a couple of resources to share with you to help you start the new year with a bang. Now, the first one is a property management playbook, and this lets you in on all the property management trends that worked and didn't work in 2022 and what my predictions are for this year. Now, it showcases some of the secrets, the trends, what inside the hundreds of businesses that I worked with throughout the year in 2022. I've also just released a social media masterclass. Now, this isn't your average masterclass. This training actually steps you through planning your content using a Trello board, creating your content in Canva, and using a scheduling tool amongst many other social media gems inside it. It literally leaves you no excuse about posting consistently on social media. You get shown what to post, how to post, and when to post. So there is a link in the show notes for this game-changing masterclass and my property management playbook. Now, today we are talking all things tech with InspectRealEstate. They are a global software company that specializes in tech solutions for the real estate industry. From lead generation tools to booking inspections, managing applications, tracking keys, and many other time-saving products designed to streamline an agent and property manager's daily tasks. Now, I've personally been using InspectRealEstate inside my own business, and the leasing software in particular has been a game changer. I love that the process is streamlined and automated, from tenants booking in inspections to confirming appointments, processing applications, and now even ticket checks are included. It is one of those solutions that ticks all the boxes for me when it comes to implementing tech or software into my business. It saves time, it saves money, and it streamlines the process. So let's dive into my conversation with Courtney Hill, who is the National Sales Manager at InspectRealEstate, and she's going to share some of the tech trends for 23. Courtney, thank you for joining me on the Property Management Podcast. Now, before we dive in, can you please tell our audience a little bit about yourself and how you got started doing what you're doing now?
Hi, Kylie. Thanks for having me. It's really interesting. I often say to people, I ask in every meeting I do or every person I meet, I'm going to ask you, because I'm still yet to find this person who in high school said, yes, I'm going to be a property manager and that's going to be my career for the next 40 years. I'm yet to find that person. So if anyone's watching and that's them, can you let me know? Certainly for me, that was not the case. I wanted to be a professional musician. And funnily enough, I have been a professional musician in my life, but it doesn't really pay the bills. Well, certainly not unless you're Coldplay or Kylie Minogue, Harry Styles. So when I finished high school, I went and studied music at the Conservatorium of Music at Melbourne University. And 3 months in, I had a car accident on Royal Parade, and I drove off and said, I'm never going back there. I went to my best friend and said, her family owned a real estate agency, and I said, can I just work on reception? So I was 18. And the rest is history. So I have not left the industry. That was in 1998 or 1999. And it would be scary to work out that number now. So I've done a lot in my property management career. So right from reception to managing departments, growing departments. And then for the last, say, 10 years, I've worked in the consultancy and prop tech space. So that's a very short, quick, how did I get here? And why do I do what I do in real estate? I'm a very passionate real estate person, very passionate about people staying in this industry, very passionate about people loving this industry, because I always say property managers are the true heroes of society. Perhaps some renters wouldn't agree with that, but I think we really do. We provide housing for our community. We provide a roof over their heads. We provide stability for people. And along the way, we're every single other thing that people need in their day-to-day lives.
Property inspections, entries, exits, incomings, outgoings, routine inspections, whatever you call them, you have to do them. And I remember when I first started as a property manager, you had to handwrite the reports and take notes on a digital camera, then upload the photo memory card to your computer and hope and pray that they weren't all blurry or your computer had enough memory to store them. But gone are those days, thanks to Inspection Express. Now, Inspection Express is not only the #1 tool used by leading property managers across Australia and New Zealand, but the leader in groundbreaking new tech in the industry with the launch of 360-degree virtual tours. Now, virtual tours is upping the ante, giving landlords, owners, and directors unparalleled 360-degree virtual access to their properties. So head to the link in the show notes to book in your free demo with Inspection Express. I totally agree with you. I think property managers are on par with superheroes for the services that they provide to our community. You're absolutely right there. Now, talk to me about how you go from, being a property manager and running teams to then diving into the prop tech space. What attracted you to that?
I'd been on the tools in property management for about 16 or 17 years. And I'll be honest, probably the next step was for me to own a real estate business. And I hats off to you. I just did not want to do that. I have owned businesses. I currently own a vineyard with my husband. I've had consultancy businesses and so forth. But I just didn't want to go into that director of a real estate agency having to do, this is crazy because I'm a national salesperson now, but I just couldn't see how I could sell real estate as well. So I thought, what's the next path? I grew departments from scratch. What's the next thing for me? And this would have been back in 2012, 2013. And I could really see that technology side of our industry was really about to be the next phase of where we went. So back then it was still a couple of trust accounting systems, but you did all of your inquiries manually, you did all your inspections, you hand wrote your condition reports, and there's probably some property managers listening going, what the hell, are you kidding? So we had triplicate carbon copies where we'd write it all, had to do a new one it was crazy. And I could really see that there was some real change coming, obviously. So I worked at Rock End, which was Rest Property Tree, for about 12 months. And I started to see this little startup over in the corner called InspectRealEstate. And I thought, they're the guys. That's where it's at. And I came across Andrew Reese, who's our CEO, sort of on my journeys, and he pulled me aside one day and said, hey, let's chat. And I guess you can say the rest is history. So prop tech is an extraordinary part of our industry. And I often say to people, reach out to your prop tech businesses, because if you're working in a business, you're really only seeing what's in your business or what's in your franchise. Whereas your prop tech industry specialist and so forth, they're seeing this really big picture of what are the trends, what's coming, what's happening, what are they working on? And you can really trust and rely, because a lot of, certainly for us, I'd say 80% of our employees have all been on the tools in property management. So there's a real connection there as well.
Fantastic. Well, that was a beautiful segue into my next question, which was going to be, what are some of the tech trends for this year and into the future that we as business owners or property managers need to be aware of?
I think one of the important things to understand is with tech is it looks like it moves really quickly, but it actually doesn't. And what I mean by that is I see the next trend really being, everybody's probably seen the ChatGPT and the artificial intelligence going around at the moment. We've been working in artificial intelligence for the last few years. So whilst to the market, that is a really new concept and a way that we're going, if you're using Inspect Real Estate, chances are you've already had it in your business and you haven't even realised. And so I think that's definitely got a lot of focus on it at the moment. I'd almost peg back and say I see the trend as being going back to a little bit more old school. So what I mean by that is let's use the technology that we've got available. Great, it's meant to support our businesses. But what I see is the real trend, especially for this year, is an understanding in our industry that technology is there to support you to build relationships with your customers. Don't let the technology build the relationship. You let the technology do what you do what the technology can't do, and that is build the relationship. So use the automations. Like if I use Inspect Real Estate as an example, use Inspect Real Estate to respond to your inquiries, book your inspections, do your reference checking. So you're then freed up to be away from a computer and out doing what the computer can't do, just calling your customers, seeing your customers out on the road, having coffee with your customers. And I can really see the tech trend shifting this year to be more of that, let's go back to the basics, because in COVID, we didn't get the chance to do that. And that's really what our consumers are after now. So that's really where I can see tech trending in the next 12 months. A little bit different to what I think you'll get as an answer from other people. But for me, I think that let's just talk to people is really where we're going to next.
If you are anything like me, you think you know your rent roll numbers. Well, I thought I did until I had a rent roll health check, and I was quite literally shocked. The money I was leaving on the table was astounding, and this is not something that I'm proud to admit. There were missed management fees, let fees, advertising, and lease renewal fees not being charged, and properties even without bonds. And all of this was happening despite monthly audits being conducted in my business. So how did I uncover all these gaps in my valuable income? Well, I had a rent roll due diligence from my good friend Tazi, aka the Rent Roll Queen and founder of the Tazi Way, a specialist in rent roll due diligence, business valuation and management rights. The Tazi Way is the innovative force driving the real estate industry. With 25 years of business and real estate acumen, they find gaps and risks in your agency to find undiscovered value. If you'd like to book your business in for a rent roll due diligence, head to the link in the show notes and mention That Property Mum for a 10% discount. And I think that's a really great point that you mentioned there. It is property management. I always say this all the time. It is actually really simple business. It's customer service. We're selling a service like an accountant, like a lawyer, like a shop assistant, and our service is managing people's properties. So whilst I'm a huge advocate of implementing tech and software and automation, and I'm even using AI now for another business that I've got, which I'm finding is actually I'm using AI in real estate as well, but for other businesses that I've got as well, I'm using AI, and it's been a game changer. But there is that element I can use that all day long. But if I don't have clients, it's a waste of time having all that technology. So
Agree.
Yeah, you've got to definitely, I think we need to move back to a focus on customer service as well. So what about for you guys in Inspect Real Estate? What are some of the new products or releases that you guys are working on? If you can share any with
absolutely.
us, what's coming up?
I can share so many things with you. For those of you who've had exposure to Inspect Real Estate, you'll learn and understand that we're constantly moving. There is always new things, new products. Andrew Reese, our CEO, has an extremely unique way of looking at things. And really 10, 12 years ago when he created our software, it was game changing. There was nobody in the industry. He really changed and shaped the industry 10 years ago to do what a lot of us now don't even realize wasn't a thing. There've been many people in the industry who don't realize that we used to do a lot of the stuff manually. What we have really found, and this almost comes back to that point of of that customer service concept, what we're finding is a lot of agencies are what I would call groaning under the weight of all the subscriptions they need to pay. And so we went away, and essentially our real estate agents are being what I call commoditized. So you're not being seen as differentiated, or you're not being seen as different to the guy up the road who's only charging 3%. We see these complaints all the time. Or XYZ agents have gone in and taken my business because they're only charging 3%. And my thought around that is, well, that's because you've been commoditized. If they're just seeing it as dollars, they're not seeing anything extra. So about 3 or 4 years ago, we all sat down at Inspect Real Estate, and we could see this trend was happening. And we said, well, what do we need to do? And that's where we started to build our IRE1 platform. And this is really, I liken it to the Sydney Harbour Bridge. So we started with the inquiry management. We ended with the with the vacates. And as we've built through there, we've built all the different modules until we get to that one final piece of the puzzle, which is the trust accounting system. And so now, whilst you can still purchase the IRE modules and use the individual modules, you can now run your entire property management business in the IRE1 system. So that we released that 3 months ago. And in the last 3 months, we've had 60 customers sign up to the trust program, which is huge. It's a big chunk, and they're loving it. One system to do your maintenance, to do your routine inspections, to do your condition reports, to do all of your transactions, your vacates, your inquiries, your landlord reporting, your portals. So being able to have that in the one place, that's what we've built. And like anything with Inspect Real Estate, it's not just, great, we've built it, good luck, let's just sit on our bums and do nothing. We do up to 150 upgrades on our software a week. So that's not a year, that's a week. We have 50 developers sitting in Brisbane constantly working through the ideas that our agents send to us, because we are all ex-agents. Not our developers aren't, obviously, but those of us on the tool selling and supporting have all come from a real estate background. We're very passionate on building what the agents need to get them to be a profitable business.
So tell me a little bit more about this trust accounting side of things. That's really exciting. How because that is a thorn in a lot of businesses' sides. So yeah, talk to me a little bit more about that.
Well, trust accounting is actually very simple. It's funny, we have people say to us, oh, give us a demonstration on trust accounting. And we say, okay, what's money in, money out? There's a few more nuances to it, but essentially we just need to see money coming in, money going out, all of our invoices along the way. And then we do all the integrations with the banks and so forth. So it's a very seamless process. It's very interesting, actually. And often I'm surprised by things along my journey. I sort of think everyone does everything automatically. And then I find half of our business still manually receipt, which is a really interesting concept. They still go in and manually receipt. So we built a way to do that in a really easy and simple way, because whilst we'd like everyone to automate everything, sometimes, and especially with trust accounting, because it is a little bit scary for some people, they like to have that control. So there's some really interesting concepts around that. And of course, then there's the trustless side of things as well. So I'm sure many of you, including yourself, have heard of the concept of trustless. We are a trust accounting system. We are building out the trustless side as well. So you will be able to do both. Not yet, but we do have customers trialing that trustless side as well. So stay tuned and to see where that goes in the next 24 months as well.
That's so exciting. I have had a few conversations with people about the trustless trust accounting, and that is a great solution as well. So some exciting things ahead by the sound of it. So which is
very exciting,
amazing. Now, tech and software, it simply provides solutions to people's problems. So what do you personally, and you obviously have been in the industry a long time, so what do you think some of the biggest problems in property management are right now? It's a little bit of a change of direction, but I think it's an important conversation to be having at the start of a year as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's probably 3 main problems that our property managers, real estate businesses are facing. The first one is staffing. There's a real I guess COVID, and I'm from Victoria. So if any of your listeners are from Victoria, you'll understand what we went through in COVID. There's been a real shift in the workforce of the property manager. Now, I've been in this industry for over 20 years. I'm going into agencies and I'm not recognizing people because there's been such a shift. So staffing is one of the biggest issues, and for agencies to find a way to onboard and train staff in a really simple and effective way, which is where IRE1 also helps in the sense that instead of needing 7 different softwares to be trained on, they can be trained on one software, and our team will assist with that training. The second thing is cost of living, interest rates. That's a really big thing at the moment. Cost of staff. So if you do lose a staff member, often you might have to find you need to add 20 grand to that wage to get another person in. And then the third one is just time. I was talking to a consultant recently, and they were saying they worked out every single task that a property manager needs to do if they want to do their job well on a day-to-day basis. 250 individual tasks for a property manager to actually do in property management. And so these are real issues, real challenges that our property managers are facing. And I call property, it's a bit cheeky, I call property management death by 1,000 paper cuts. And the thing is, it's a whole bunch of little tasks, but if you miss one of those little tasks, it can go from a little paper cut to a broken leg very quickly. And so software and automations and systems, even if it's just having Trello in, I'll give Hermione a plug here, but she's got some Trello stuff that she uses and so forth. But even just having the right checklists or the right task recipes make a huge difference in those 3 problems and making things far more seamless in your day-to-day life.
There's been so much talk of stress, overwhelm, and burnout in property management lately. Do you want to know how I overcame all of that? Yes, I hit rock bottom multiple times, but I got myself a virtual assistant. Actually, not just 1, but 3. But I didn't just get any VA, I got a PMVA. What are they? Well, they are the most well-trained in the business. And not only that, you also have a backup VA, so that essentially your business is never without admin support ever again. And my health, time, and business has never looked back. Your PMVA can take care of tasks like rent arrears, lease preparation and renewals, maintenance follow-up, routine inspection bookings, data entry, audits, prospecting, inbox management, and so much more. And the best part of implementing a PMVA in my business was that it freed up my time and my team's time to take care of important things like customer service. What makes me feel so safe is that PMVA is owned by Tiffany Botel, both here and in the Philippines, making my data secure and giving me more control over the VA arrangement. So head to the link in the show notes to book in your discovery call with Lady Boss Tiff. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. They are definitely real problems, and I'm not sure what the solutions are going to be to some of them. But yes, Hermione's Trello boards. I love a Trello board too, so could be one of the solutions, especially in those processes and systems. So now, speaking of Hermione, and I'm going to move on to asking you about your favorite professional development tools, whether that's books or podcasts. But you guys have got a podcast, Those Real Estate Chicks, I think it's called. So if you haven't listened to that, anyone listening, go and jump on over and have a listen. Hermione and Courtney have some great conversations about our industry, and both of them have been around a very long time and share very authentically and real conversations. So, but tell me, what are some of your other personal development tips or tools for us?
Yeah, you've put me on the spot there. Personal development. I love a good audiobook. With my national role, I'm traveling a lot. And so I'll download a book. There's a really great book actually, by a guy called Chris Voss. He's from the US, and it's about negotiations. He's an ex FBI negotiator, hostage negotiator, and he talks about how to negotiate in human human behavior, and it's actually quite riveting. So that's a book that I'm reading, along with, of course, who isn't reading or listening to old mate Harry's Spare book. Just as a little side note there. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to most of the industry podcasts, including our own, of course. I'll go away and have a little listen and think, oh, I could talk a bit better there. But certainly I think connecting to a lot of the industry specialists, I've made it a real focus of mine to build relationships with some of our consultants to the business, to the industry, because a lot of the Hayley Mitchells, yourself, Kylie, Kirk Stafford, Nina Sutton, whilst there's a lot of resources available, and we could find books and LinkedIn and podcasts, there's just such a wealth of information. I do personally find that building relationships with our industry influencers and leaders in our industry has probably given me the most knowledge about our industry, because it's from different perspectives. I can ask questions. I can ask people, oh, why do you think that? And try and reframe a lot of my own understanding and expectations of our industry as it changes and moves. And I will say that all of those people that I mentioned, and there's a whole bunch more out there, they are all so open to you giving them a call, DMing them online, asking them questions, because they really genuinely care about our industry. And that's such an important thing now as we move into, I would say, the next generation of people working in our industry.
That is so true. That is amazing. Now, how can our audience connect further with you after today?
The best way to catch me would be on Instagram, which is Courtney __Hill. You have to do 2 underscores to find me. Although if you just type in Courtney Hill, you can probably find me. My email address is just courtney@inspectrealestate.com.au. A little bit like those influencers I mentioned before. I love a chat. I love to tell you what I'm seeing. I love to talk to you about the industry, what Irie's working on. I genuinely believe we are one of the best softwares that you can have in our industry. I wouldn't have been here for 10 years if I didn't. And we do genuinely want to support your businesses in whatever way we can.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I will share all of your details in the show notes. Courtney, thank you so much for joining me on the Property Management Podcast. I've really enjoyed connecting with you. As you mentioned earlier, connection is so important with people. And so yeah, I encourage everybody to get out there and make some new connections. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, tell me, would you like to make maintenance your superpower? Well, you can. And you don't even need to tell anyone. It's all thanks to Tappy, a powerful property care software that takes all the pain, stress, and chaos out of dealing with maintenance and turns it into a predictable process that is reliable and frictionless, where every maintenance process is a smooth experience for everyone, with value adds that your owners and tenants will absolutely love. And it seamlessly integrates with your property management software too. And here's the bonus, it can actually help grow your business as well. And if you're rolling your eyes at me right now and thinking, yeah, right, I've heard all this before, then do yourself a favor and book in for a demo at tappy.com.au. Mention That Property Mum and receive 1 month free on Tappy. If you love the Property Management Podcast, you've got to check out the PM Collective, hosted by my friend, Ashley Goodchild. She discusses things like how to have awkward conversations about pay rises, yes please, how to raise the bar in property management, and why so many people just seem to fall into the industry. You've got to love stories like that. She'll leave you with great advice, actionable steps to take, and let you know that you're not alone in any of the challenges that you face. So be sure to check out the PM Collective wherever you get your podcasts. Can I ask you a quick favour before you leave this episode? Now, we all know how important reviews are for businesses these days, and mine is no different. If you could spare just a minute to follow, rate and review this podcast, it would mean a lot to me. In fact, what would get me super excited is if you share this podcast with someone in the industry who you think might need to hear some of the episodes right now. And if you'd like to find out more about working with me or any of the products I have to help you start, grow, or scale your property management business, head to my website, thatpropertymum.com.au, or check out the links in the show notes.